All right, welcome to Speak for Yourself. I am Jason Whitlock. That is Marcellus Wiley. That dude.
Yes, sir.
Coming up, we'll get into the latest Russell Wilson rumors, and Brett Favre takes a shot at Aaron Rodgers. But let's start with the biggest story of the year so far, Tiger Woods, who just completed one of the greatest comebacks in sports history, winning the Masters yesterday, his first major championship in over a decade. A couple years ago, it looked like Tiger might never play golf again, but Sunday he stood up to a leaderboard full of the world's top players and closed out with one clutch shot after another while the rest of the field faded. Afterwards, Tiger couldn't help but see a certain symmetry in his victory.
To have my kids there, it's come full circle. You know, my dad was here in '97, and now I'm the dad with two kids there. It's overwhelming. I think it's just because of what has transpired, and last year I was just very lucky to be playing again. And the previous dinner, the Champions Dinner, I was really struggling and missed a couple of years of not playing this great tournament, and then to now be the champion. 22 years, I think, between wins is a long time. But it's just unreal for me to experience this. I mean, my mom was here. She was there in '97 as well. And so I just couldn't be more happy and more excited. And, you know, I'm kind of at a loss for words, really. This would be up there. It's one of the hardest, I think, I've ever had to win, just because of what has transpired the last couple of years of trying to come back and play.
All right, speaking of coming full circle, Colin Cowherd joined Speak for Yourself.
Love it.
Thank you for doing it, man. Helping us here to talk about Tiger Woods. Marcellus, I'll start with you. Can Tiger be more popular now than even in his heyday?
Impossible. If you really look at what Tiger Woods was in his dominance, in the first 14 majors, before the indiscretions, before the off-the-course issues, Tiger Woods, the machine, you got to talk about that dominance. And sports is told through two lenses, dominance or a great storyline. Now, this is a great storyline. We're talking about redemption. Awesome storyline. But it still has to match with what? Dominance, success, him winning a tournament, a major like he did yesterday. Tiger Woods will win another major going forward. Tiger Woods will still be successful going forward. But that dominance, that guy who used to go out there and would just score just because of the color he wore, just because of the fact that he was the athlete on the course with other guys who were just looking up to him as a man, as a machine. I don't see him getting that back, because that base, some of it departed. And some of it will come back, but it won't come back to the same number.
It's interesting. When Tiger broke into golf, I was a sportscaster in Portland, and I used to get crap I'd go to a golf course, and people would say, well, why do you show Tiger? Older guys. There are a lot of other good golfers. We forget there was a lot of resent toward Tiger from the 50 over crowd, which is a huge part of golf.
Right.
Now, the 50-year-olds are no longer the flat bellies. I think they're all in on him. I think his older fan base, he's human, they've got kids, they got grandkids. I think he'll be more loved within 50-plus golf crowd. There was a lot of pushback on Tiger. Now, the young people who were all into the first Tiger, well, they got some other guys they like. So I think some of them will choose Dustin Johnson or the cleanup hitter in the PGA.
Yeah, solid.
So I think he'll have a different popularity. Popular with older people because now he's flawed and human. But I think young people won't be 100% all in. They don't care about the history. They've got some of their young guys they like.
They're not mesmerized by it anymore.
That's right, not quite as mesmerized.
But I think he can be more popular now. I think the story is much better now than the original story, the story of redemption. And then, Cowherd, you called me yesterday and you talked about it on your show. Tiger brought us all together in this very divisive time. Everybody's rooting for Tiger Woods yesterday, or virtually everybody. It felt like that. And I think that's so unique in this time. And moving forward, I think it's going to continue with Tiger Woods. I do think he can be more popular this time around. The comeback story is always better than
But
than
think
the
about what
original.
you're saying. You're saying he's bringing us together now.
Yeah.
But remember original Tiger Woods. There's videos of him as a youngster talking about the major I want to win the most is the Masters because of how they've treated black people over the years. This is young Tiger Woods talking about that. When he first entered the sport, the most polarizing sport probably in sports at that time. Think about it. My first sport I ever participated in was actually golf. My father is an avid golfer. To this day, he golfs every single day. And I remember being 5 years old, and my father used to talk about Calvin Peete. And Calvin Peete was the Tiger Woods for black people before Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And I'm on a golf course in 1979 with Smokey Robinson, my dad, and myself, and no one else that looked like me. And it stayed that way. It felt that way my entire upbringing. And then all of a sudden, Tiger Woods hits. When you want to bring the racial component or you want to talk about really inclusive behavior and division, there was nothing that was more impactful than what he did initially in his run in his 14
You know,
majors.
Tom Brady did Tom versus Time, and it let us in. Peyton Manning was always more popular. Y'all, Saturday Night Live. Brett Favre was always more popular. Tom was just great. And Tom finally did Tom versus Time. Oh, his family, his kids, he's vulnerable. This Tiger is letting me in. He's doing a documentary. It's called His New Life. I feel more emotionally connected to Tiger. I almost look like a deity. I almost looked at Tiger in worship. There's Tiger. But I didn't. If Tiger walked into a room now, oh, you got kids? Oh, you've been addicted to painkillers? My neighbor has been. I feel he's much more eye to eye, relatable to me and most people. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I just think him being humbled the way that he was humbled and dealing with it the way that he's dealt with it his comeback story makes him more relatable, easier to root for. And look, maybe it's the Tiger homer in me because it was such a big day for me yesterday, but let me move to a different topic then, and I think you've already kind of gone there, but because I think if he catches Jack Nicklaus, and now he's re-sparked that conversation, he's 3 majors away from catching Jack Nicklaus in majors, do you think he can do it?
I always did. I was never a doubter of Tiger Woods. We had some of these off-mic conversations before, talking about the oldest guy to win a major is 48, and that's a guy. Tiger Woods is 43, and he's Tiger Woods. That runway was always in front of him. You talk about Tom versus Time. Tiger Woods versus Time, there was always still more opportunities going forward if he could just correct himself. Upstairs first, and then in terms of his health and being out there and playing up to his level. This is 2.0 Tiger Woods, but I never doubted that he could because, what has there been, 9 other golfers after the age of 43 that have won majors? And only Jack is comparable to Tiger Woods in terms of talent and ability. So you're trying to tell me 8 other guys have won it at a latter stage of their career and Tiger Woods couldn't? So, yeah, I've always been a believer in Tiger Woods and knew that he had enough runway to catch up.
It's a lot of majors to win. And there's good golfers out there. There's bigger sticks than him now out there. I was thinking yesterday, I'm like, okay, this is a great one-off. Like he wins it, and he has a couple years. And then I thought to myself, no, I'm going to be selfish for a second. I would love for him, for like a 2-year period, to intimidate the young guys, the king. And then all of a sudden, after about 2 to 3, he wins 1 or 2, and he said, you know what, this has been great. And he retires. I don't want to see old Tiger. Yesterday felt like I was seeing kind of a young Tiger with really good doctors. Like, that's what it felt like. This guy's got really good surgeons, but man, can he do this for 5 more years? Back fusion, 3 back surgeries. I mean, they tell you in medicine, avoid the back surgery.
Oh, yeah. I've had
like they'll do anything to avoid 3 back fusion. Like, what if it's just 1 of 2 majors, 3 years, 4, and then it's over, and it's just great for all of us.
I live and die with Tiger Woods. I don't think he's going to catch Jack Nicklaus for the reasons you talk about, health. And it's so unpredictable. And then once you get to he's 43, he's not going to get healthier because he age and father time undefeated. And then the other factor is just he's created other great athletes in golf now. Brooks Koepka looks like Tiger Woods when Tiger Woods used to be yoked up and slaughter in the field.
Yeah.
And Brooks Koepka has been dominant in these majors the last 2 or 3 years, virtually almost like Tiger Woods. Dustin Johnson, who played great yesterday, shot a 68 and got his way back into the tournament.
Power.
Again, Justin Thomas, these guys that he's competing against, Jason Day, these guys are really, really good. And so I think he'll never be as dominant as he once was. And he doesn't have to get 3 majors, but he can't be as dominant as he was because the competition is just so good. Dustin Johnson's a very good athlete. I don't know if he's Tiger Woods, very good. Some of these guys that have joined golf now, these young guys, are right there with Tiger. And the thing that I kept looking at yesterday was Molinari outdrove Tiger regularly.
Yes.
And certainly Tony Finau did, because Tony Finau's great off the tee. And so that he was so dominant off the tee that he could mask any other areas.
Yesterday it was his iron play.
Yes, yeah. And now he can't do it. And so I think it's going to be, I'd love for him to do it. Trust me, that's my dream, but I just don't think he can.
Well, let's not forget, even in the comeback story before it finally culminated in a win at the Masters, close finishes for Tiger Woods. Even in his comebacks, he was leading the Open just last year. And so we've seen Tiger Woods scratching at the surface. Let's not forget, 15 major wins, 6 second places, 4 thirds, 5 fourths. Like, even when Tiger Woods is not there, he's close. And that's when Tiger Woods was still trying to come back.
I would say this, though, and I don't know the exact number, but if you go look at Jack Nicklaus's second place finishes, they dwarf Tiger.
Oh, yeah.
And so Tiger's a bit of a front runner. That's the first time we've ever seen Tiger come from behind and not have the 54-hole lead.
No, that's a good point.
And so I love what Tiger's done the last 3 majors, and end of last year and all through this year. But catching Jack, I think that may just be too much, given his age and his health. And Koepka and these guys are just really, really good. They're better than the guys Tiger was beating up on previously. Final question, and obviously for me this is an easy one. Was Tiger's win at the Masters the sports moment of our lifetime?
The emotional impact it had, and full disclosure, Friday I watched all of it. Saturday I watched all of it. Yesterday I had to do this festival for book sales and stuff, and I was sitting there midway signing, talking, Q&A. How's Tiger? Wait, Tiger's up. Tiger won. And the emotional impact that had, I had to come back home and watch the replay on CBS. And I'm like, this is amazing. And then I started to say, don't be a prisoner. What else ranks this high? And I don't have anything that ranks higher. I can make some lateral love steps and say, oh, well, we could talk about some other great moments. Some of the dominance we saw before. You could go back to a Mike Tyson. You could go back to Michael Jordan's comebacks, things of that nature. But better, trumping this moment, I'm empty. I have nothing.
It's my number 2. It's the greatest individual moment. Miracle on Ice was my greatest. I also, I'll go to an occasional hockey game. Not a huge hockey fan, but Miracle's my favorite sports movie. But that encompassed so many things. We were in a recession. There were gas lines. Cold War. If you go back to Miracle on Ice, it was about our country was really in pain. Economically, we were in trouble. We weren't the power that we were. And for us as massive underdogs, listen, Tiger's been out. He's never a massive underdog if he's healthy. We had lost to Russia by like 8 goals at Madison Square Garden. They were a pro team. We had college kids. That to me encompassed just the spirit of our country. That feels bigger. But individually, there's not a lot here to compare it to. I can remember Michael Jordan winning and the trophy.
Father's Day.
Yeah, that really sticks in my memory. I have weird memories. Jeter homering in his last, wasn't it Yankee game for some reason? That's some reason that pops into my head. Elway's Super Bowl, the walk-off. LeBron's first championship in Miami was great. But I think it's Miracle on Ice for a lot of the reasons noted, and I think this for Tiger resonates with me.
To me, I think Muhammad Ali lighting the torch in Atlanta. I was there, covered that Olympics. What Muhammad Ali represented in his journey coming that full circle and despised, run out of boxing, polarizing figure, standing against the draft, and then all of a sudden becoming the guy that lights the Olympic torch when the Olympics are here in L.A., I mean in the United States, in Atlanta, that was an incredible moment for me. But I've had two moments in sports that have made me cry, and it was Tiger winning the Masters in 1997 and yesterday. And other than Ali lighting the torch, this is probably the thing I'll remember the most. Those two, I was at Pebble Beach and walked every hole with Tiger at the U.S. Open in 2000. He was so dominant. That's one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. But I agree with you. The Miracle on Ice is right there with it as well.
Well, you gave a great storyline and definition, Miracle on Ice. But for Tiger yesterday, in our society today with social media, and it's such an attention-based society, and when you're trying to gain human capital, really like you said before, people's emotions and relatability, he lands perfectly at this time because everyone, in terms of talking about him, was discounting him or counting him out. So for a world where everything's about likes and retweets and clicks and what the world thinks of you, this is the perfect time for Tiger Woods to win this Masters in redemption of telling the world you're not always right. And I think that's going to be inspirational to a lot of people.
And also in a very divided country, there was less than 1% of people not rooting for Tiger. I think we sometimes forget. Tiger's first 10-year run, not everybody loved him.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pushback from older people because remember, he was threatening Jack. We don't like, ask LeBron, we don't like you threatening our legends. We don't.
Robinhood is an investing app that lets you buy and sell stocks, options, ETFs, and cryptos, all commission-free. They strive to make financial services work for everyone, not just the wealthy. They provide a non-intimidating way for stock market newcomers to invest for the first time with true confidence. It's simple and intuitive, with a clear design of data presented in an easy-to-digest way. What are the values of the Robinhood app, you may ask? The design and ease of use. It has easy-to-understand charts and market data so you can place a trade in just 4 taps on your smartphone. Robinhood's web platform also lets you view stock collections and analyst ratings of buy, hold, and sell for every stock. Also, you can learn by doing. Learn how to invest as you build your portfolio. Discover new stocks and track favorite companies with your personalized newsfeed. You can even set custom notifications for price movements so you never miss the right moment to invest. Robinhood is giving listeners a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help build your portfolio. Sign up at speak.robinhood.com. That's speak, S-P-E-A-K, .robinhood.com. Whitlock and Wiley joined now by TJ Houshmandzadeh. Time for a big story. Let's move to Seattle, where the deadline Russell Wilson gave the Seahawks has arrived, but his new contract hasn't. Reportedly, if a deal isn't in place by midnight, Russ won't sign until after the season. But according to Pro Football Talk, the team now believes that Wilson wants to play elsewhere. Adding fuel to the fire, Tyrann Mathieu tweeted this weekend that Russ wants to play in New York. As I said in the setup, would you blame Russell Wilson for wanting out of Seattle? And I would have to say no, because he's done so much there single-handedly on the offensive side of the ball, and he's taken so much abuse from the defensive side of the ball that I think he has some ill feelings towards Seattle, and I think his wife possibly wants to be in New York, and taking those ill feelings and her desire to be on the East Coast, yeah, I kind of buy Russell Wilson wants out of Seattle, and I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. I get to the same place you do, but I get there differently. I think this is a no-brainer for Russell Wilson to leave Seattle on and off the field. Off the field, it's obvious. I played with a great before. And it seemed like daily he would come to practice. It was like, y'all better just ball out and get up out this small market, because opportunities lost. They're not even thinking about the money they were making every single opportunity and off the field and the endorsements and the signings. They were thinking of ones that they weren't being thought of for, whether it's the commercials or the, hey, can you just drive down here Madison Avenue and do this real quick? And he always talk about that. So I know Russell Wilson is hearing that from maybe his agent or other people in his camp. But on the field, this team is the only team in today's NFL that still runs the ball more than it throws it. Now, that may sound like a winning formula in the moment, Coach. We won the game because we ran the ball. We're zigging when everyone else is zagging. But you know when it's not a winning moment? When it's contract time. And those numbers, as good as they sound, Russell Wilson is great as you are in terms of impact. Can the numbers be more? They could be more, but they're deflated in part because they're the only team out there still running the ball.
Baltimore, but I hear you.
Yeah, only team. Like, it would be different if we had a camp of teams with us. And then you talk about the two teams next to them. What are we talking about? Tennessee, trying to protect, and Baltimore. Tennessee, Baltimore, and the Seahawks. Do we have the same quarterbacks? No. Why are we running the same style of offense? So Russell Wilson has a great argument in both cases. I say he leaves.
I mean, we're all in agreement here. If you go back to the season, after week 2, Pete Carroll says, I think Russ is over-trying. He's trying to do too much, just get rid of the ball. And then later in the year, we tried to be a throwing team, but we can't. So basically, we're trying to give it to you, Russell, and let you be a throwing quarterback, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, but I don't believe you can get it done. He's trying to take control of his career. If you can get to New York, he's going to be a global superstar. After football, everything would transition very smoothly. It's almost like taking a page out of Antonio Brown's playbook without going public with it. He's not signing the deal with the Seahawks. He put this artificial deadline out there knowing they're not going to meet it. They're going to franchise him. I doubt if they ever trade him. And it's going to get ugly, but everything is going to be behind the scenes. He's still going to do his interviews. He's still go Hawks at the end because that's just who he is. But, yeah, he wants out of there. And a lot of it, if you just look at some of the things that Pete Carroll has done and said, Russell Wilson's not going to say anything, but I'm sure it's rubbed him the wrong way.
Let's have a little poll real quick. In terms of production, who is better, Russell Wilson or Dak Prescott? I think we all know what that is, right? In terms of popularity, like Q rating out there, getting love, it's too close. And if I'm Russell Wilson, the way he plays the game, the way he talks the game, the way he wins the press conference, like you said, I have global superstardom exuding from me if I get into the right situation, the right place. Madison Avenue will eat that up.
The thing I would say, I won't blame him for wanting out. I'm not 1,000% sure, though, that's the right place to be in terms of wanting out. It can be worse than what Russell Wilson has. Look, he can go, let's say you go to New York. Let's say is Pete Carroll coming with? Because Pete Carroll, whether we like it or not, is a damn good coach.
He is
and
that.
It's more proven than these other places you may end up. So you can go to Jacksonville. I don't know where other than the Giants perhaps, but you can start losing games.
Could he be looking at it from this perspective? Where are the Giants at? They're at the bottom. He can really validate himself now. He can really put himself up here. The Giants are at the bottom. Yeah. They have nowhere to go but up. So if I get the Giants to where they want to go, now everybody's looking at me in an entirely different light now because when I got to New York, they were here. Now the defense won't get the credit. It won't go to Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas and Camp. I'm going to get a lot of the credit. We know as athletes, we all have an ego. You just express it differently. And so that could be part of it as well.
And look at the flashes they got out of Eli even last year. He's thinking to himself, you put me in that system. You talking about Eli is looking okay. What would I do? Eli had the highest completion percentage of his career in that offense. But then you couple him with Saquon Barkley. I mean, he has to be thinking that this offense will give him enough where he can go out there and establish himself.
Pete Carroll is a hell of a coach that runs a hell of a defense that has put Russell Wilson in a position to win a lot of football games. And again, could Russell do more? Should he have been provided more support in Seattle? Absolutely. But let's don't kid ourselves. This isn't Kevin Durant saying, I want out of OKC and I'm going to Golden State. This is, I want out of Seattle and I want to go to the New York Giants that have had a couple of nice, lucky runs to Super Bowls. But other than that, there's been some struggle.
And that's the beauty. They struggle more than they don't.
Yeah.
And they still love Eli. Guess what Russell's thinking? If I just get one of these, look how they're going to love me. If I even get them close to where they were, they're going to love me. And if you look at Seattle, this is a third rounder who was there the same time they paid a Matt Flynn. You needed to hire Russell Wilson. He may have felt like I'm not at my supreme confidence early on. Now it's time to shine.
Let me give you another analogy.
You bring up Kevin Durant. Yeah. What if he leaves Golden State and goes to the Knicks? Isn't it like Russell Wilson? Not exactly like Golden State, but going to the Knicks.
I see this more as like, hey, Lakers fans are going to be happy. LeBron's here. Are they? Are they happy?
That's not Russell. Russell wouldn't give them the ammunition to try to undermine them. LeBron's giving people ammunition, unfortunately.
No.
Russell Wilson doesn't come with that. Everything that LeBron has come with here.
He's going to New York, and he will want a massive contract. Mm-hmm. And he's going to have to deliver on that if he went to New York with Super Bowls. Getting them to the playoffs won't be enough at the price tag he would command.
Well, you know what's funny about this article? It was nuanced. They said,
he would take less.
That's
right.
That's Seattle, but in New York, I might go down here. Isn't that crazy?
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
But as athletes, I'm sure he thinks I get there, we're going to win the Super Bowl. He doesn't think he's going to fail.
Let's move to Green Bay, where it's been a busy couple of weeks with both Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy fending off stories about their strained relationship and the Packers' recent dysfunction. Well, now Brett Favre has decided to weigh in, but likely didn't do much to endear himself to Rodgers or McCarthy.
I will say this, one of the things I agree on in that article is they really should have won more. For whatever reason, they didn't. They were that good, and they had the best player in the game. I just felt like they should have won more.
I'm a huge Brett Favre fan, but I don't get this comment at all. Name me a quarterback other than Tom Brady, great quarterback, who shouldn't have won more. Brett Favre should have won more. He only won one. Dan Marino should have won more. He won 0.
A lot of them should have won
Peyton
less.
Manning.
Kelly should have won 1.
Peyton Manning should have won more.
You know what's interesting? I didn't think about that before. That's a very short list of guys that shouldn't have won more, right?
Brady and Montana's about it.
Yeah, just based on just what we thought of you coming out, and then it's like, wow, you keep winning? Great for you. I look at it this way. It's unfair to really have any issue with Brett Favre saying this, because all he's doing is echoing what everyone in the NFL world has been saying about this team since Aaron Rodgers took over. Think about it. The blame game in Green Bay is about, we got Aaron Rodgers. How come it's not working? So what do they start with? We don't have a good defense. Then that switch. We weren't healthy. They win the Super Bowl with 15 guys on IR. Then they're like, when we get healthy, we're going to win multiple Super Bowls. They haven't. So then it went from there. Maybe it's the coach, offensive coordinator. Like, if you look at the blame game around one Aaron Rodgers, it's always the other pieces because we have Aaron. How come Brett Favre can't say exactly what we've been saying, which is, you have Aaron Rodgers. You should win more. I don't think he's taking a shot here.
He can say it, but his voice carries a lot more weight than me and yours. Mm-hmm. He was in that spot.
Right.
He was teammates with Aaron
He's actually taking a shot at himself. He's like, I wasn't an Aaron Rodgers. And I won 1, and he's better than me, and he's only got 1. Maybe it's a shot at himself.
He builds him up, then he kicks him back down. He is the best player in the game, but he should have won more. I mean, if you look at it, Aaron Rodgers played in 16 playoffs games. He's on 9-7. Put up 29 points a game, but the defense is giving up 26. Mm-hmm. You're not going to win a lot of – football is the ultimate team sport. Everything has to go hand in hand. Aaron Rodgers has been blessed with great offensive weapons around him pretty much every year. The last couple years, Jordy Nelson is hurt. Randall Cobb has been hurt, but Devontae Adams is a baller. You got Greg Jennings. You got Donald Driver. You got a bunch of guys at the skill position that has always been able to play. Defense has kind of let them down. But Brett Favre, to me, it's okay for you to say it. Are you taking a shot? Yeah, you're taking a shot.
You think so, huh?
Yeah. If you look at it, they should have won more. That's the only thing in the article that you can point out to is, they've had this great team. They should have won more.
But Marcellus, he was teammates with Aaron Rodgers, and I think played for Mike McCarthy maybe for maybe a year or 2 or whatever. But 2 seasons. He's throwing credibility to an article that Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy are both trying to desperately distance themselves from. He just threw credibility to it.
He parsed it. He actually said, I don't know about all that other stuff, but I do know they should have won more. He actually didn't give the article credibility. He said, forget all the rest. That's waste. What's true is, I've been in that building. What's true is I know a makeup of a team that can win it all, because we did. And I'm looking at that team, I'm like, With that player, where's everything else? It's almost like what LeBron carries with him, the LeBron effect. It's the same with Aaron Rodgers. He's like, you're supposed to win more. People are going to say that about LeBron because he's the greatest. It's not a shot at LeBron. It's just like, dude, you're absurd in expectations and greatness.
But if Michael Jordan comes out and says, you know, LeBron should have won more, that's a significant shot.
That's a shot. Yes. But it's not the same. One, they weren't in the same organization. Like, the protections are different. Like,
if Kobe comes out and says LeBron should have won more,
it's not apples to apples, because in this organization, some are going to say Brett Favre's the GOAT. Some are going to say Aaron Rodgers. But in NFL lore, they're not comparing Aaron Rodgers to Brett Favre. Like, they're not on the same, like, tier fighting for position. I don't even know where they're both ranked.
I mean, but Aaron Rodgers...
Brett Favre's not ranked top 5 ever.
Aaron Rodgers' story is still being written.
True.
He's going to play 5, 6, 7 more years. You never know what can happen moving forward. And so if Aaron Rodgers goes and wins 1 more Super Bowl, maybe 2, then that whole comment, it makes no sense, but you just don't know.
I'm just saying, Marcellus, if there's a group of people piling on Marcellus Wiley, and let's say that 75% of the criticism is untrue, and 25% is legit, I'm not going to raise my hand and validate the 25% because that makes it, well, maybe it's 50% of the criticism is true. I'm just going to stand down. And again, I love Brett Favre, but I don't like this. He's piling on Aaron Rodgers unnecessarily. And particularly, I'm just saying, if Brett Favre had won 2 Super Bowls and then said, well, I think Aaron Rodgers should have won, I would get it. But there's not a great quarterback other than Brady and Montana that you couldn't say that about.
That's a great point.
That point stumps me, because I'm going through the list of the greats based on expectations, and everybody could have had 1 more. Everybody.
Steve Young might be a guy that you could go. He got his 2. His career was abbreviated.
Troy Aikman maybe as well.
Troy
Aikman.
Yeah, Aikman. But, man, there's just a whole laundry list of quarterbacks that, man, they should have. Phillip Rivers should have done Pete a drop in the playoffs.
Yeah, we get that. Not the most.
Drew Brees only has 1 Super Bowl.
I was telling you that all year, Mr. MVP. Not the most sophisticated. Not the most sophisticated play if you're Brett Favre. It's not one that's going to lend itself favor to you going forward. But I really think that in his heart of hearts, he was propping Aaron Rodgers up. Like, this dude is insane. Even though they started off rocky in their relationship, I think he's like, you're better than me, and we have the same.
Okay, so let's say we accept that. Then the next logical conclusion to jump to is like, yeah, they didn't win as much because Aaron Rodgers is very difficult to get along with, and he did something that cost them from winning. He's legitimized the rest of the criticism, and trust me, Aaron Rodgers ain't remotely happy about it.
I mean, you see what he says. Any coach that will attempt to coach him has to tread lightly because you don't want to take away from what he does so well. What coach is going to do that? You're always going to play to your players' strengths.
Right. But tread lightly, I think it's more in, like, our interactions. And
yeah, he's basically saying, he's legitimizing the rest of the article.
It's hard to deal with. Well, welcome, Michael Ford. You're going to get exactly what you wanted. You're going to have opportunity, but it's going to cost you.
Joined now by NBA champion Matt Barnes and longtime NBA player Cuttino Mobley. Let's move to the NBA playoffs, where the Warriors dominated the Clippers in Game 1 Saturday. But there was one bright spot for Marcellus's team. Patrick Beverley got inside Kevin Durant's head, which led to both of them getting ejected after a dust-up late in the 4th quarter. After the game, Steve Kerr said Durant took the bait. Initially, KD didn't feel bad about getting tossed, but he backtracked today.
I don't want to disappoint my coaches and my fan base and owners who expect me to be out on the floor, so I apologize for being thrown out the game.
All right, so he's apologizing for disappointing his owner, his coach. But after the game, he kind of was a little feisty and saying he kind of enjoyed getting into it with Patrick Beverley. Question, do you like KD's attitude here?
I like his attitude now. I liked his attitude in the moment. I thought it was a lighthearted tussle, and it lasted 3-4 quarters, but I think the referees kind of took it a different way than the spirit of which they were engaging. One, that is Patrick Beverley, and two, KD did everything with a smile. So it never got to a point where I thought, oh my God, this is gonna boil over into some issues. But I do like him taking a deep breath, realizing what this fan base is doing, hanging on to his every word and breath. Is he staying? Is he going? So everything gets translated in that lens. And he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm here for y'all. It may only be a couple more months, but you know what? Let me respect y'all in this moment.
Led the league in technicals during the regular season.
Did he get suspended? Did he get
He's got 2, 1 game into the playoffs, 5.
That's why they
five more
flop in
gets
soccer.
suspended.
They use up all the time they can. You use up all the timeouts you got, but you don't go too far. He didn't go too far and get suspended.
You know how you've been around people before, Matt, right? All of us, right? You've been around people before where you have you and your group of guys, right? And it gets rowdy and y'all loud. And y'all may be saying some derogatory stuff, not like racist stuff, but just cursing at each other, being guys. And then people that's not around you guys, they get like nervous, like, whoa, you guys okay? Right? I think that's what the referees did, because where we're from, you talk crap to each other. It builds the energy. So I have no problem with that. Now listen, if that game was close, I seriously doubt Kevin would have done that. You're up about 20, right? Like Patrick Beverley is like he's like a fly, he's a gnat. He bothers you so much. But yet, we're used to that. He's from Baltimore, D.C., that area, where we're from. You like to talk crap. And then that he got caught up in that. I don't feel as though there's something wrong with that.
I mean, for me, it's the refs are always overreacting. I mean, like you said, this was lighthearted, the spirit of the game. The fans loved it. You saw when KD got kicked out, his teammates were all for him. I like it from a standpoint of, he's letting Patrick Beverley know all these little antics you have going on aren't going to work. And like Kat said, if it was a closer game, KD wouldn't have got, I guarantee he wouldn't have got that second take and got kicked out. But I like him just letting him like, you can do all you want. I still have my normal night. I shot 50%, 25 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, whatever the stat line was pretty consistent. And they were up by 20. What Pat Beverley doesn't always show up on the stat sheet. You want a person like that on your team, but he's guarding the best player in the world, so he's gonna have to do more than that to get him out of the game.
How can we not argue that Patrick Beverley didn't win here, though? He got KD tossed out of a game. He now has 2 technical fouls. KD fell for the bait.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And look, I don't play chess, somebody told me, hey, a pawn took out a bishop, and that's big. So I was like, okay, respect to that.
I think if the game was closer, it would have never happened.
Like that's how you don't win.
KD led the league in techs, but KD's very calculated. He might go the rest of the playoffs and not get one more tech.
I feel that.
You know what I mean? So I just think 2 techs is a big, if you're looking at the big
guy
picture.
that led the league in technicals, if you had to bet, you think he's getting no more technicals in the playoffs?
I seriously doubt he'll get. What you're doing, you're playing with the words. He won't, for real, no. He won't get technicals when games are that tight. I don't think that will happen. He's not Draymond Green.
Right.
And he understands the history of what it did for the Golden State Warriors a few years back.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, even though he led the league in techs, they were calculated. I think he knew what when I used to have calculated techs. I knew if I did something, I was going to get a tech, and I knew what it would do for my team around, up and down, whatever the situation may be. And I know KD's the same way. He knows he's too important to be out of games when it matters. Right. But that last game didn't matter.
Right. But when you're the best player on your team, 2-time Finals MVP, I'm just not sure you should be taking these kind of risks. And y'all said he's not Draymond Green. The longer he stays in Golden State, the more he starts to look like the 7-foot shooting Draymond Green. I mean, you do admit his personality has changed.
For the better.
It has.
For the better.
Thank you.
Can you say that, Matt?
I think for the better.
He was quiet. He got pushed around.
He was always kind of in his own little bubble before, and I think Draymond brought it. Like, this is who KD has always been. I think Draymond brought it out of him, but I don't see it as a bad thing. I see it as I'm the best player. When I want to talk, I'm going to talk. When I need to play, I'm going to play. But he just let Patrick Beverley know, like, we're not going with this.
Great point by Matt. How about this? LeBron James, for so many years, just about a few years back, he started saying that he was the best. I mean, it's been 16 years. We all know he's the best. One of the best things smoking, right? Like sliced bread, just amazing. No, now, he's saying it now. You could have been saying that then, too. KD's, he's growing up. And I'm not going to let you keep bashing me every single time for all these years, and then now I'm not going to keep saying nothing. No, I am the best. Now what you going to do?
And it's smart in the first playoff game. Look, it's a series that more than likely, we all know they're going to beat the Clippers. Stop. But I got a tone-setting moment. Coaches used to always say, I need a tone setter. Like, go out there, and he knew it wasn't going to have impact on the game. We're still going to win. But I'm going to let you know, Patrick Beverley, I'm going to let the whole playoffs know.
You're not going to keep bullying
It ain't
me.
coming that way.
But he's stepping into Draymond's lane. That was Draymond's role.
No.
Not necessarily.
No.
Not
The
necessarily.
only reason you say that is because he's on Draymond's team.
Yeah.
If he wasn't on Draymond's team, you wouldn't say it like that. You wouldn't even compare the two like that. But because he's with Draymond and DeMarcus, right? Like, oh, you know what? Yeah, you are kind of like that too. Nah, listen, he is 1A, 1B best player in the league.
That's great.
Yeah, but I'm saying
that's great. He can also make mistakes.
Everyone does.
And get
Everyone does.
caught up in, again, just remember what that team is. Because of Boogie, because of Draymond, I'm not sure if I want KD, my best player, setting that tone. Let Boogie and Draymond be the emotional
but
guy.
those two are different than KD. Like Matt said, KD will not do that.
If it means
When that
something.
game is
It
tight.
means more when KD
Means
does it.
way
'Cause,
more.
I mean, everyone's coming to him, so when you have that person coming back at people, it means more. You know what you're gonna get from Boogie and Draymond. Sometimes wild card, you gotta pull him back. But KD was smiling the whole time. He jumped in his face and laughed. You know what I mean? Like I said, if it was an important game or it was back and forth, it wouldn't have happened. But like I said, I
Y'all
think it was
got
calculated.
kids. Y'all got kids. And when kids do little bad things that, and then you sit around and go, oh, they won't do it when it really matters.
No, I know where you're going, but you know what I do respect, and this is why I like it's KD doing it, not Draymond. If Draymond would have responded, we're like, here you go again, he hasn't learned. KD doing it out of character, my bad kid actually doing something good or the good kid doing
He's
something
not
bad.
out of character. He led the league in texts.
He shot 50% that game. Stephen Curry had 40, shooting from 40 feet
He
out.
did his
It
job.
was a fun thing, and he's laughing when he's doing it. It was more of a like Sunday play early in the morning.
But set
me
the
beating
tone.
all his
Set the
play-
tone.
Yeah.
Set the tone for the whole series, for this series and the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not going
it's
for it.
gonna
You're
happen.
not gonna rattle
and
me.
now that's going to get Draymond and Boogie more protective.
believe-
Now, like I'm gonna take. If anything else comes your way, we got you.
Yeah.
I can't believe, why wouldn't we see it as Patrick Beverley set the tone?
No.
How? How's
They
he set the
still
tone?
lost.
Tone.
What tone is he
Do you
setting?
hear the wins?
First of all,
Yeah.
were they down 3 or 1? Was this a pivotal moment? No.
Yeah.
Patrick Beverley, you're not doing
He
nothing.
just set the tone.
I didn't even
can
see
get in
it.
KD's
Right.
head.
Patrick Beverley's head was at his waist. He wasn't even bothering
man.
about no Patrick Beverley.
And he's been loving him, he said, since Arkansas. All them games they used to
They're
play
cool,
back in the
yeah.
day. They
He's
boys.
Chicago boy. That's all he got. That's all Patrick
Draymond
Beverley
and
got.
LeBron are cool, but LeBron baited Draymond into some dumb stuff in the NBA Finals, and it cost him a championship.
He ain't Draymond.
Let's return to the NBA playoffs, which kicked off this weekend with some pretty big upsets in the East, with both the 2-seed Raptors and the 3-seed Sixers falling at home to lesser teams. Meanwhile, in the West, Russell Westbrook and the Thunder shot under 40% from the field, and they lost to a Portland team that's missing one of its best players. Marcellus,
What up?
of these three teams, who do you think is in the most trouble? Thunders, Raptors, or Sixers?
I got to go with the Philadelphia 76ers. Y'all in trouble. And this is a bad look. Y'all got a new GM out there, the homeboy Elton Brand. Well, he ain't playing this with this. We trusted the process. Now you got a squad, and what's up? The squad is not playing well, and it's really death by sacrifice. Think about it. They sacrificed their bench and their depth by getting all this star power that they have. You talk about Embiid, you get to Tobias Harris now, Jimmy Butler, and obviously what's going on with the injury concern when you talk about Embiid. This team right now got outscored by 33 in bench scoring from the Brooklyn Nets, and the Nets don't care. They got swag right now. They believe in themselves. They play together, and they're looking at the Sixers as wounded ducks, and they are going to come and hunt. This is a bad look all around. And then you look forward in a month or so, two of those guys may be gone anyway, and Tobias Harris and you talking about Jimmy Butler. So bad look all around.
It is a bad look, but I think they're going to recover. I think they have too many weapons, too much offensive firepower. They'll figure it out. I think the Sixers are going to be fine. Let me go to Coutinho next. Who do you think's in the most trouble?
By looking at all the teams, I think it's the Raptors. I really think it's the Raptors. And the reason why I say I think it's the Raptors is because there's a couple of different things that's going on. Kyle Lowry, who hometown guy.
Lord.
He went to my high school.
He did?
Yeah, he went to my high school.
Is that
Literally
contagious?
Yeah, exactly.
My AAU team.
You ain't good in April, are you?
Or first game of any series.
No, but listen, that's 5 years in a row.
I know.
It's literally about 5 years in a row. So I'm saying that to say, Matt, it's a psychological thing. That's one.
Oh, yeah.
I text him. Alvin Williams was with him. You know Alvin Williams. I text him and said, listen, do this, 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 and this. Is 5 ways to score. You're only using 2. And you've been using 2 for the past 4 or 5 years, right? That's the psychological thing with Kyle Lowry. Then you go, okay, Kawhi, I don't know if you're going to stay. So if y'all lose this one, you don't have Kawhi, you don't have Kawhi next year, and you don't have Kyle Lowry headspace for the next playoffs you're doing. So that's more detrimental to me than the Sixers. The Sixers, to me, you have J.J. Redick that, 2 for 7. You have Tobias Harris. He's not going to have another game like that. Jimmy, you passed the ball, and it's not your fault. But you have how many assists, right? You might have 1 or 2, maybe none, no assists. I'm not worried about the Sixers as much as I am the Raptors, because the Raptors, literally, their organization can fall if Kawhi leaves, and then you have somebody mentally that's not performing in the playoffs as Kyle.
I agree, but the reason why I think the Raptors are okay is because they have Kawhi, because they have Danny Green, because they have Marc Gasol, because they have Siakam, because they have, what's his name, Serge Ibaka. They've got guys that have been there, that have done that, and I think Kyle Lowry has always kind of been shaky to start the playoffs, and I think he'll wake up and get going. I'm picking the Sixers for a couple reasons. On paper, they're very talented, but I see there's no chemistry with that group. Right. I see, when other people do good, Jimmy doesn't do very well. I think Jimmy might have a problem with that. And like Kat hit on too, I really don't see, I still think the Sixers will win the series, but I think furthering in the playoffs, they're not here, which they need to be, and they need to have consistency out of Ben Simmons. Like, we don't really know what playoff Ben Simmons is. We've seen a lot of regular season all-star Ben Simmons has done well, but when the playoffs come around, it's a whole nother monster. The lights are a lot brighter. The rim is smaller.
I don't practice on my jump shot.
The Lord knows he doesn't need the rim to be smaller. So, to me, like I said, I think it's a chemistry thing with the Sixers. I think they'll win this series, but I think advancing past the second round is going to be tough for them.
That's interesting. You think they'll win the series. Before I go, what do you think about Joel Embiid's maturity? Is that part of the chemistry problem you're talking about?
I think so, because you hear a lot of disgruntledness between him and Simmons, that Embiid may not like him, the way he carries himself. I don't know Embiid at all. I love his talent and how he plays, but off the court, his character has been called into question several times. So I think that probably has a little bit to do with the team's overall chemistry.
You know who Embiid reminds me of? He's like Shaq with
young
no
Shaq.
title.
Oh, yeah, there's no question.
Shaq with
no
title.
question.
Right
with
now.
no title.
No question.
Shaq had the titles, and so you could be a goofball.
Right.
Shaq carried Orlando to the finals, so you can be a goofball and a funny guy. But when you don't have the titles, they're like, man, this is a really bad look.
It's also, and that's a great point, it's also easy to hide your insecurities. Matt was saying, do he really want to share that spotlight of greatness on one team with another individual, right? I don't really think so. It's a weird kind of dynamic, and it's going to play out. And
You're
going to
saying
see.
Embiid, or you're saying?
Yeah, like.
You don't think he wants to share?
I don't. It seems like.
I think he loves being the man.
He loves being
and that's
the
fair,
guy
but
on the
if you
top.
are the guy, you got to be able, like Shaq was you got to be able to carry your team to the top. If it's going to be all about you, you have to be able to carry your team.
Yeah, and Jimmy's a type A personality, and Ben Simmons has that. And we were talking about it in the back. It's kind of confusing about Ben Simmons and me. Like, he has this motsy and his chest poke out kind of guy, and like he's like the superstar.
But he can't shoot.
Yeah, like I don't really see it yet. And listen, I'm not
hurts.
giving up on you, Ben Simmons, but I just don't really see the way you walk and talk. I don't really see you doing the Greek Freak or the LeBron or the Steph. I don't see it yet in you. But you hold yourself like that, and maybe behind closed doors, maybe Joel Embiid's looking at him like, yo, dog, like, Come on, man. Like,
Yeah, they both looking at each other.
Cut that arrogant stuff you doing out. Like,
Didn't make the tournament in college, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Like, dog, how you
I
that
don't
good?
shoot. I didn't have to shoot jump shots. I don't care what you didn't have to do before.
Right.
Got to do it now.
Yeah, you better do it now.
Having said all that about the Sixers, I'm going with the Toronto Raptors for virtually the same reasons as you. They went all in on Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
And went all in to the point of, hey, you don't got to play 20-some-odd games if you don't want to. And if somehow, and again, it's not even just getting out of the first round, they need to make it to the NBA Finals or it's a bust.
Yeah.
And there's nothing right now to me that says they're going to make it to the NBA Finals because, you know, I apologize for saying it, but just like Kyle Lowry has exposed himself in a way, he is not a Robin.
Yeah.
He is not, if Kawhi's Batman, he has no Robin at all. Yeah. This is not going to work. They're not getting to the NBA Finals, and Kawhi Leonard's going to bounce. What was this year?
I think Siakam is Robin. Siakam is a nice. Emerging young star who's been consistent the whole season, but definitely the last half of the season. And that's why I think it'll allow Kyle Lowry to come along. Danny Green's a proven winner. You know, knock down big shots, lock up on D. Marc Gasol's a very intelligent, playmaker, clogs up the middle. Serge Ibaka does what he does. Van Vliet. They have enough, I think, to allow Kyle Lowry, even though he knows it can't get much worse. It can't get much worse, so it can only get better for Kyle Lowry. But I think the other pieces will buy them time. But I agree with you. If they don't make it to the final, I think Kawhi is going.
Do you think they make it to the final?
No, stop. They're in a worse headspace if you're Kyle Lowry than ever. DeRozan's gone, and then now it's falling on you again. And once again, we getting the same results.
Up.
You're the common denominator.
Yes,
we swapped out somebody, and you know as a player, you're sitting there saying, okay, this is going to be the year because it's different chemistry, different play, different flow. No, same result.
30-something minutes, and you only shoot the ball 7 times. And 5 of those 7 was 3-pointers. To me, that's just not where we come from. If I'm not shooting threes, I'm getting to the basket, I'm getting to the free throw line. I'm doing something else. Your mentals is gone right now, and you can't just pick that up.
But players around the league knew it wasn't DeMar. You mean the media might not know, coaches might.
Right.
You see
players
DeMar
knew
the
it
other
wasn't
day,
DeMar.
right? You see DeMar the other day, right? In Denver.
DeMar does
All right,
what DeMar
quickly,
does.
we only have a little bit of time here. None of us picked the Thunder. Does that mean we have no concern about the Thunder? Is that just a one-off? Paul George coming off
I think
injury?
they're a lower seed to begin with, and at the same time, like it's going to be who's going to be that third option for both teams. I think will win this series. I think Cantor stepped up. I've always loved Cantor. Never wondered why he never played more. But who's going to be the third option? Is it going to be Schroeder or is it going to be Adams for? Because I think the two, Paul George and Russell Westbrook, are probably going to be a wash with CJ and Dame. You know what you're going to get from all 4 of those guys. Who's going to be that third option on both teams that's going to propel them to the second round?
But let me just say, if the Thunder don't make it out of the first round, this season's a disaster.
No question.
I don't care about their seed. This is a disaster season.
It was a disaster season, but it's not because they only won 49 games. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you won 60-something games.
At
you
one
were looking
point,
to win it all.
Paul George was in the MVP
Early on,
conversation.
yes, he was. And then
And they bow out in the first round.
But then he got hurt as well.
Yeah, he got hurt
That
too.
interrupted
and he
as
can't
well.
lift that shoulder. That's another thing. So for 4 or 5 straight days, this is a rhythm sport. If I don't get my reps up every day, I don't care if I'm making 100 a day. You know what I mean? Like,
But to Whitlock's point, this would be potentially the third straight year, first round exit. Expectation based for me. I didn't expect much of this team.
Well, I wonder what they thought they were going to do anyway.
Russell Westbrook's got to get out of the first round, or he's going to get
Well, he
clapped.
has before. You mean?
No, I'm talking about this with Paul George. They got to get out of the first round, or this is a disaster, and he's going to take a lot of flack.
I agree. I agree regardless. I think it's going to be a disaster if they don't win.
All right, before we go, I'd like to say a word or two about cell phones, the high-class crack pipe, the untreated, harmful addiction we all suffer. Saturday, during the Sixers' playoff loss to the Brooklyn Nets, Amir Johnson and Joel Embiid were busted ingesting text messages in the fourth quarter while seated on the bench. Philly coach Brett Brown called it unacceptable. Johnson apologized. Embiid claimed Johnson was checking on his sick child. But Golden State Warrior Draymond Green offered the hottest take, tweeting a defense of Johnson's behavior. You check your phone at work, right? Actually, I do, in my dressing room before I come to this stage. But when I'm here for these 90 minutes, I try to focus solely on my performance. I block out the distraction of the outside world. I leave my phone in my dressing room. NBA players should do the same. The Sixers are paying Johnson $2.5 million this season. They paid him $11 million the year before. He's a highly paid entertainer. If you went to a Justin Timberlake concert and you caught his band, the Tennessee Kids, checking their cell phones while Timberlake is singing, it would be a small signal that the performance isn't that important. It's no different from being on a date with someone who constantly checks their phone for text or social media updates. It's a sign they're really not into you. It's a sign you're not that important. A screen grab is worth 1,000 memes. The one of Johnson and Embiid tells the story of the modern NBA. The players, the highly paid entertainers, aren't really into the competition the way they used to be. That's not the sentiment of an old man pining for the good old days. That's a statement of fact, a fact NBA Commissioner Adam Silver isn't ignoring. On the eve of the NBA playoffs, the commissioner doubled down on his suggestion that his league should tweak its regular season. He tossed out several ideas, including shortening games to 40 minutes, reducing the number of games, and adding a mid-season tournament. Silver couched his ideas as being directed towards fans, but they're really directed at capturing the hearts and minds of his players. They're the ones so bored by basketball that they're launching careers as Hollywood moguls, sitting games for load management, overly concerned with their social media brands, and checking their phones throughout the game. All right, welcome back. Whitlock and Wiley here. Time to play. You said what? Last week I said something about Tiger Woods that Marcellus wanted to revisit. Take a listen. We've invested more than 20 years hoping that Tiger would catch Jack Nicklaus's record of 18 major championships. Maybe we should let that dream go and just enjoy the time we have left with Tiger playing at a high level. The key to that is changing our expectations. I just want Tiger to make the cut on Friday.
Brother Whitlock, you said Tiger Woods should be happy if he just makes the cut. You said Tiger Woods before that he should be happy if he makes the cut and he will never win a major. You said what? What'd you say?
Listen, you got to understand me about Tiger Woods. I come from here with Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods strikes me in my heart. And so I get emotional. And last year, I think it was after he didn't win the PGA Championship, I think I definitively said Tiger would never win another major. That was hurt feelings. And I think, to be honest with you, I think if you go back and look at what Tiger has said throughout his comeback, I'm not sure if he thought he would win another major.
Oh, you're going to rely on Tiger now, huh? You're going to know his emotions because your emotions were blinding you.
Again, Tiger Woods at one point said he didn't think he would play golf again.
Yeah, I mean, but that could be pandering to all those naysayers out there. Like, you know what, let me just calm this fire down. But you are supposed to be the journalist. Not only just the fan, but also keep an objective perspective. Tiger Woods, he's 43. I don't care how damaged he was.
No. The journalist in me, the only conclusion to come to, given his health history and his age, the only conclusion a journalist could come to is like, it's very unlikely he would win another major. The rooting person can hope and pray and a miracle is going to happen because it has been a modern miracle. The guy's had 3 back surgeries and a back fusion. This is unprecedented territory we're in.
Lets you know that it's more about what's upstairs and what's in here than it is necessarily with the body in that sport. We've all played golf before, we understand that. My only conclusion as a former athlete is that your hateness was high. Like your hateness was sky high. No, that wasn't it?
I've never had a hate moment in my life with Tiger Woods.
Well, why would you ever think and not root fully, not only root, but come to the conclusion that you didn't think he would make it?
Because again, when I'm giving opinions here, I'm not trying to give them all as a fan. I'm trying to be an adult.
Oh, I gave you all the ammo.
My opinion as a journalist is like, given his health issues and his age, I don't think he's going to win another major. As a fan, I live and die with Tiger. I've watched virtually every round he's played over the last 20 years.
So when he came second in the PGA last year, when he came 6th in the British last year, you still said, hey, you know what? I love this guy. This is my favorite athlete. I root for him. He's never going to win a major again. How do you come to that conclusion?
That, again, if you listen to my essay last week, I'm trying to manage my expectations, Marcellus. You got to understand how when Tiger Woods failed to make a cut, my whole weekend is ruined. When Tiger Woods on a Saturday or Sunday blows something, I get in a state of depression where my attitude changes. And so, again, if you look at the essay I did last week, that was all about, let me try not to get on this emotional roller coaster. Let me remove expectations from this so that I can make it through the weekend. I'm just saying, it's that important to me.
So how did you enjoy your measured watch of Tiger Woods? The party with no food, no drinks, no condiments, no fun.
Once Saturday got there and the dude's in second place, I'm living and dying with every shot. It's one of the greatest. Yesterday was one of the greatest days as a sports fan I ever had, and I literally was in tears when it was over.
You didn't see this momentum building? Last year, this guy was coming with all the issues you said physically. He was coming. I thought you would already be at that place before Tiger Woods had to prove everyone.
I've been disappointed so many times over the last decade that just protected myself. Uncle Jimmy's here. All right, let's get to the big dummy of the day.
First of all, big dummy of the day go to the person that just sit up and spent 4 minutes admiring their hair in the monitor, thinking that they look good.
Flat
Johnny.
top.
Are you talking about me doing
top
it?
rule, native.
I got a little bald spot that I'm trying to see if it shows up.
Grandma called that tetanus.
What tennis?
I heard it.
Tetanus.
I heard
Tetanus. Tater tots?
Tetanus.
All right.
man.
Well, anyway.
Where's your dummy?
She was probably saying tetanus, but you know.
The dummy hat didn't come down.
I know. They said that we had a little graphic.
They don't want to mess up your hair.
All right. Here's a highlight from our discussion earlier about Tiger Woods. Tiger brought us all together in this very divisive time. Everybody's rooting for Tiger Woods. I do think he can be more popular this time around.
But it still has to match with what? Dominant success. And some of it will come back, but it won't come back to the same number.
All right, Uncle Jimmy. We just had our discussion about Tiger Woods. What's your take?
You're going to win 14
Well, man,
more.
first of all, man, you know, as you grow up, man, you know, old folks tell you, man, what go around, come around. You know what I'm saying? So a man reaps, so a man soweth. You understand what I'm saying?
Kinda.
You know, back in the day, you know, Langston Hughes had a poem, and it turned into a 1950 Broadway play called A Raisin in the Sun.
What does this somehow relate to Tiger Woods? Is this a play about cobbling Asians? What?
No, it's a play about coloreds, but you know, other than that, you know, about the
What
life.
does it have to do with Tiger Woods?
Real.
What I'm trying to say is, if you quit interrupting me, I'm trying to tell you that one of my favorite lines from the movie A Raisin in the Sun is when the mother, who at that time when I saw it was played by Esther Rowe, when it came to the movie, it was played by Sidney Poitier and Ruby Dee. But anyway, that's nonetheless.
Esther Rowe played the same role as Sidney Poitier?
No, she played the same role as Ruby Dee live. But anyway.
Go ahead.
Anyway, nonetheless, man, listen, seriously. One of the lines in that movie, she said, you don't judge a man after the world done kicked him and knocked him down. You judge a man by how well he picks himself up, by how well he pulls himself up from the bootstraps. That's how you judge a man's character. That's how I like to be judged. That's how I'm judging Tiger.
Respect. I like that. I've heard it different. Judge a man by the distance traveled. And if you think about how far he's traveled from his low point to right now and winning the Masters again, that's love for him, Tiger.
I certainly respect that, but you got to remember, some of Tiger's wounds were self-inflicted.
Say it.
Okay, but hold on. Who amongst us has not walked a mile with untied shoes?
Oh, now?
There we go. So in other words, who ain't stumbled?
Oh.
Let he who is amongst us
Yeah.
celebrate.
You talking about my marriage? What you mean? My shoes tight. They tied up, Velcro.
There you go. That's
I
all I'm saying, man.
I certainly know that you have struggled. I know
yeah.
you've tripped and fell several times.
Shoes tied, too. And no shoes
Are we going somewhere here with this?
Yeah, Marcellus, I've seen Uncle Jimmy at his lowest point.
Okay, first of all, we ain't talking about me. Okay.
Well, we are. Since we talk about lowest points and distance travel. Look,
Yeah.
When you walked in, he walked in on Dessa one time. I saw him at his lowest point.
That ain't right.
Really, bro?
He got a club in his hand.
Really? We going there, man?
Yeah. You remember that?
Look, man.
You ain't got nothing. Say that.
Man, I walked in on Dessa and my best friend, man.
Ooh.
In a compromising position. Bro, I ain't even gonna lie to you, man. I didn't know Desi was that flexible. I'm for real, man. I didn't know whether to call my mama or call the police. She talking about we playing biblical Scrabble. Y'all up there playing butt naked Twister. I said about that, Desi, don't move left hand red. Desi, don't move left hand red.
Wow. Double team.
But nice, man.
Student body right, huh?
All right, listen. We got to go to our approval rating.
Yeah, let's get it.
We got to get to our approval rating. Tiger Woods. Yeah.
Odessa.
I got Tiger at GOAT status. He was a 74 the last time we did it. I got him at a 93, 25 job performance, 24 all-time greatest, 20 character, 24 authenticity.
Yeah.
I love this Tiger. Go.
I'm with you. I wanted to just put 100 up here, but have to respect that he did have some, like you said, self-inflicted wounds. But the character does raise. Just to climb back up that hill, Tiger Woods, that's tremendous character. And authenticity, the emotional moments with his kid, his mom, the girlfriend with the one hug. He was like, hey, man, this ain't your shine right now. Tiger keeping it real. We getting Tiger back, dog. He only hugged him once. Respect for him. He's a GOAT.
Uncle Jimmy, real quick, we debated or disagreed earlier. I think Tiger can be bigger this time around than the first time. Yes or no?
Tiger better take this time and be thankful.
That doesn't sound like a yes.